Okay, it is day 6 of building a rescue again. Now, I have the wood I need to build my doors. I have my skill saw or circular saw. My uncle also had this table here, so I'm gonna set this table up and see if I can get it to be the same height as the table saw there. We're gonna make it easier to rip down the plywood. So the goal tonight, and by tonight, I mean it is 6 o'clock at night right now, and I'm just getting started. So the goal is to get the front walls built, get the plywood cut, get most of or all of the plywood on, and get the doors figured out for this. I've got a couple of hinges, I don't have enough hinges, but get the doors figured out for this, and then this will almost be complete. And then from there, I need to figure out a way of getting the shelves in here to be strong enough to hold up the enclosures without putting posts down to the ground, because the tortoises will destroy them and knock everything down. And I get to use my new bits today. On a positive note, the new drill bit is amazing. On a not so positive note, am I just the worst person at picking wood? Look at how warped this one is. It's insane. I don't understand. In my defense, I was rushing yesterday and I actually didn't check the wood. I just grabbed it. Well, after getting the first wall together, I was gonna move over and realize I screwed up. So I built this wall to go across there, but where I screwed up is I have to have this bottom plate across, because that's gonna help hold everything together. If I don't have that bottom plate there and the tortoise is going to start pushing there or pushing here, they're going to push the walls out. So that is what's going to hold everything at the front together, so the tortoises, even with all the weight, can't push things out. But I made this one the same height as all the other walls. But now I have an 1.5 inch difference. So what I have to do, you know what I should do actually, is take the bottom plate off those ones and then just attach them to there, and then I don't have to build a wall on top of a wall. So that's the new plan. I'll just, whatever. Remember everyone, construction is not my job. So all I'm gonna do is take the bottom off of this one and attach it to that one, and I'll do the same on that side. I just have to measure to make sure we have 10 feet at the end there. There, problem solved. All right, so all that framing is done. Now I have my doorway here. I was gonna do 2 doors. I'm just gonna do 1 door. It's about 3.5 feet long. I'm gonna do 1 door there with a hinge that opens this way here, so we get in and out, and that'll probably be the easiest thing to do. So 1 more door to build, and then my uncle is coming out and he's gonna help me cut the plywood. And just another case of my inaccurate measuring, I forgot to take the extra 1.5 inch off for the bottom plate that connects those, and I gotta recut this. But my uncle's here now, so I'm not gonna worry about this right now. Now we're gonna start cutting plywood. So we use my uncle's table here. He wants full credit though, because he helped design this so that it was the same height as the table saw here. So thank you, Charles, for your engineering design for getting this done. He actually said he needs credit in the video for that, so there is your credit in the video. But now it's nice because we can take the sheets of plywood, set them on here, and just rip them right down the middle, and I don't have to worry about them sagging down and making a pain in the ass to cut. It just makes things a lot easier. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit because the plywood is about 1/8 under 4 feet, and I'm setting the table saw for exactly 2 feet right down the middle. So 1/2 of plywood is gonna be a little shorter, but I don't care because nobody's gonna see it anyways. All right, so here's the moment of truth. We're gonna see if this whole thing works. I haven't used this table saw in a while. And this is only because of Charles's engineering and his design. So I have to make Charles do something, because the reason he came out here is because I needed him to help me cut the plywood. But now that I have his table, I don't need him anymore. So Charles, I don't need you. It's not that I don't want you, I just don't need you. But I'm still gonna make him do some physical labor because that's, why wouldn't I? I have all of my 8-foot pieces cut, so they're gonna go where they go, and because I'm smart, I lined them up so they go right in a stud there. So all the pieces that are 8 feet are gonna go on right now. And then I've just gotta measure out the ends of what I need. I have all the plywood here cut. And then when I'm done putting all those 8-foot pieces in, I'm gonna have to just chop the lengths I need, which will work out really well with this table being here. Thanks to Charles, who's taking his scheduled 15-minute break. And this is the tedious part of just putting all the little screws in. But the reason I do it while it's laying down is it's a good way to square up the wall so I know it's somewhat level and square. Does that make sense? And I was gonna go around and just put all these pieces on, but I don't like being on my knees the whole time. So I'm gonna put a piece on, measure that piece out, cut it, then put it back on here. And that way my knees didn't break. Okay, so this wasn't planned, but this one is 6 foot exactly. So I'm gonna cut this piece at 6 feet, and then over here, I can use the other 2 feet right there. So it works out perfect. So hopefully I won't have that much waste. Just like we're all about safety with wearing safety goggles and that when we're cutting, I got a sliver, and we're also about like great first aid. So the only thing I have to get the sliver, it's a good sliver down on my hand, is this rusty X-Acto knife. So I'm just gonna take the knife here and just give a little cut. Wait for it. Oh, it just fell. Anyways, got the sliver out. All right, so thankfully I have the circular saw. It's covered in cobwebs. I wish Charles would have cleaned it up before he got back to me. But again, thanks to Charles and his engineering, I have a platform to set this on so I can easily cut these. So again, no offense to Charles, but he basically lost his own job.
You will get a bill in the mail for my engineering fees.
I'll wait for that. Now, cut.
And there, he still has all his fingers.
I do, and the line is sort of straight actually. I'm happy with that. So now I got my piece for there and my piece for there out of one piece, so I'm happy with that. And the first wall is complete. So all this time, I have been giving Charles credit and thanking him for remembering that table for the saw. And he just told me now, after we're almost done for the night, that it wasn't even him that remembered. It was my mom that remembered he had it. So thanks, Mom, and I take all of that credit back from Charles and give it to you.
So I guess you're not gonna pay my engineering bill.
Well, okay, you still get credit for like designing the top of the table, but not for bringing the table. Look, it's our first animal in here. And I remember building in the other place, we had a ton of jumping spiders. And this isn't a jumping spider, it's one of those baby wolfy type spiders, but look at it's a cute little spider, the first one in the building. So one thing I just thought of as I'm like doing this every few feet is a million years ago when I lived in Penticton, I worked at a place called Britco, which built the modular homes and things like that. And I remember we had this, it was like a stand, you ever see these, Charles? It was like a stand-up gun, like a screw gun, and it had a cartridge, and you would just stand and just go, and it would just do them all. You don't have to reload anything. It was just, oh, that would be so nice to have right now. All right, so my uncle has now twice tried to get me to make a little stand and put these up on it so I'm not bending down and getting up and on my knees so much because I'm complaining about the getting up and getting down. So I just came up with this genius quote, and I'm going to use it forever. And actually, as I'm talking here, I just found a mouse hole. Hold on a second. That is a mouse hole right there. So I had to fill that in. As I digress. Okay, back to my quote. I told him, and I just came up with this, so I think I'm going to trademark this. I said, you get older by not doing younger things. So I feel like that's true because I want to keep bending and doing all that stuff. And I figure if I stop doing it and I make things easier on myself, my body's not gonna let me keep doing those things. So that's my genius quote. You get older by stopping doing young things, whatever. It was a good quote. And this is Charles's response to that quote. Can you do that again for me? Yeah, that's his response to my genius quote. And for that, I want Charles to drink this milk that was left over in the building. It's Yeah, you get to drink that now for being a jerk to me. And excuse my language, but then I just said I forgot my measurement because we did that video, and that ass over there just yelled out, "That's what happens when you get old." And yes, he's very proud of himself right now. All right, so an exciting moment. I am connecting the first two walls together. I'm not left-handed. All right, there we go. Let's do this, make sure it's even-ish. All right, so I'll put a couple more screws in, but the first walls are up for the torch pen. I'm happy with that. I think that's probably all we're gonna do tonight. We got the biggest wall done. So tomorrow will be easier. I've got Leanne doing the morning feedings, night feedings and that because she's got a presentation tomorrow. So I can focus on being here tomorrow during the day before I pick up Raymond from school and hopefully get all of these walls done. So by the end of the day tomorrow, we should have this whole setup figured out. Thanks for watching.